The girl who sold innocence to the world lit a match and watched it burn on live television. Within minutes, a child star became a lightning rod, and the world agreed to pretend it happened by accident. What no one wants to admit is that the explosion was engineered long before the spotlight hit her skin. Contracts, expectations, and a billion-dollar brand demanded a character who never grew up, while a young artist built a plan to take back her body and her voice. The night she shattered the mask was not a meltdown. It was a jailbreak with cameras rolling. The outrage was rehearsed. The backlash was monetized. The cost was real. Broken friendships, a marriage turned into tabloid currency, a voice pulled between rebellion and remorse. This is the untold ledger behind Miley Cyrus, where the most shocking scenes were not mistakes, but messages.
Miley Cyrus was not simply born into fame, she inherited it. As the daughter of country star Billy Ray Cyrus, her childhood was a mix of ordinary adolescence and extraordinary expectations. When Disney Channel launched Hannah Montana in 2006, the world met a character who blurred the line between fiction and reality. Miley Stewart was a teenager living a double life as a superstar, and so was Miley Cyrus. Millions of children bought into the fantasy, dressing like her, singing her songs, and following every episode as if it were a window into their own lives. By the end of the decade, she was the face of a billion-dollar franchise, the type of success that rarely allows the performer to grow into their own skin. The entertainment culture of the mid-2000s thrived on building idols for young audiences, packaging innocence, and selling it worldwide. But behind the smile of Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus was changing faster than the brand could control. Puberty, fame, and personal identity collided with corporate expectations, and the cracks began to show. As tabloids hunted for the smallest slip, the industry demanded she remain the perfect role model. That contradiction set the stage for the scandal that would come. The world loved the girl with the blonde wig, but the young woman beneath it wanted to be heard. By the time she reached the legal age of adulthood, Miley was already planning how to dismantle the image forced upon her. What appeared to the public as shocking acts of rebellion were in reality carefully timed steps away from Disney's cage. From provocative photos leaking online to her early ventures into more daring music, every move was both condemned and celebrated. Society wanted innocence and defiance at the same time, and Miley became the lightning rod for that contradiction. This was not just the story of a teenage star trying to grow up. It was the collision between a generation's nostalgia and one girl's need to escape it. In the mid-2010s, entertainment journalism, paparazzi culture, and social media amplified every misstep into a headline. Miley Cyrus became both the product and the victim of that system. To understand the scandal that defined her, you first have to understand the prison of perfection she was placed in.
The beginning of Miley's rise was dazzling. With Hannah Montana dominating global television, she toured arenas filled with screaming children, released soundtracks that topped charts, and lived as a symbol of youthful dreams. To the outside world, she embodied a modern fairy tale, the daughter of a country singer who became a global superstar. Yet, behind the curtain, the pressures of dual identity started to fracture her sense of self. Miley, the brand, was untouchable, but Miley, the teenager, was restless. The first incident that cracked the polished image came in the form of leaked photos. Nothing extraordinary by adult standards, but for a Disney star, the images sparked outrage. Parents questioned her role model status, tabloids ran endless coverage, and executives scrambled to contain the fallout. What seemed like a minor rebellion was, in truth, the first sign that Miley was unwilling to stay trapped in the childlike persona that made her famous.
As the years unfolded, the escalation was unmistakable. Her music began shifting, her wardrobe choices turned provocative, and interviews revealed a sharper, unapologetic voice. Each step forward fueled scandal. The 2013 MTV Video Music Awards became the breaking point. Dressed in flesh-toned attire, surrounded by dancers, and twerking on stage, Miley detonated the Hannah Montana image in front of millions. The performance ignited a cultural storm. Critics called it vulgar, fans called it brave, and media outlets replayed it endlessly, ensuring that the transformation was burned into public memory. The consequences were immediate and profound. Brands distanced themselves, parents condemned her, and the press labeled her a fallen idol. But paradoxically, her record sales soared. The scandal that seemed to destroy her also cemented her as a headline-making artist outside Disney's shadow. What the world called a fall was also, in Miley's mind, a liberation. Yet, liberation came at a cost. Rumors swirled about drug use, volatile relationships, and erratic behavior. Her marriage to actor Liam Hemsworth became tabloid fodder, celebrated as a modern love story and dissected when it unraveled. Fans who once adored her innocence now debated her every move. By the mid-2010s, Miley Cyrus was no longer the untouchable idol. She was a polarizing figure, adored and despised in equal measure, carrying both the weight of her rebellion and the scars it left behind.
What the public saw as chaos was in fact the raw exposure of a young woman wrestling with identity, addiction, and the cost of liberation. After the spectacle of the VMAs, Miley confessed in interviews that her choices were not random outbursts, but deliberate strikes against the system that commodified her. She admitted to experimenting heavily with drugs, to numbing the pressure with substances that blurred the line between escape and self-destruction. The smile on stage often masked the mind searching for control in an industry built to take it away. Behind the scenes, there were nights of tears and self-doubt. Friends described moments when fame felt like a cage lined with mirrors, every reflection distorted by public judgment. The girl who once sang about best friends and teenage dreams found herself drowning in headlines that painted her as reckless and unstable. The world judged the rebellion, but ignored the loneliness beneath it. The most devastating moments came when her private relationships collapsed under the spotlight. Her marriage to Liam Hemsworth, celebrated as a love story of resilience, ended in acrimony. Each detail of their split was consumed by tabloids, turning heartbreak into a public spectacle. The narrative of a troubled star overshadowed the truth that she was simply human, enduring loss, while millions speculated about her every emotion. The media's reaction was a mix of fascination and cruelty. Outlets ran stories questioning her sanity, branding her a cautionary tale for young fans. Yet at the same time, her rawness made her a symbol of rebellion against impossible standards. She became the conversation itself, proof that the industry thrived on both building idols and tearing them down. The emotional peak of her story was not the scandalous performances, but the revelation that every shock was tied to a deeper struggle for authenticity. Miley Cyrus was no longer Hannah Montana, nor was she just a scandalous rebel. She was an artist bleeding on stage, demanding the right to evolve even if the world called it destruction.
From the perspective of this channel, Miley Cyrus embodies the double edge of fame. On one hand, she represents the triumph of a young artist who refused to be confined by a corporate image. She had the courage to dismantle the brand that made her rich and beloved, risking everything to claim her voice. In that sense, her journey is a story of agency, of a woman refusing to be defined by contracts, executives, or nostalgic audiences who wanted her frozen in time. On the other hand, her rebellion left a trail of consequences that cannot be ignored. The controversy she provoked often overshadowed her undeniable talent. For years, headlines reduced her to scandals, and the artistry behind her music was dismissed as secondary. To many, her most shocking performances defined her more than the songs she wrote or the risks she took creatively. This paradox is what makes Miley's story so haunting. She gained freedom but lost innocence, earned independence but paid with credibility in certain circles. The question is whether the price was worth it. For the industry, she became a convenient lightning rod, proof that scandal sells. For fans, she was a mirror of their own transitions from childhood to adulthood, messy and unpolished. For Miley, it was survival. Without rebellion, she would have suffocated inside the walls of Hannah Montana. With rebellion, she endured years of judgment that left scars, but also established her as a figure who cannot be ignored. Now, we turn to you. What is your impression of Miley Cyrus's journey? Do you see her as a brave artist who took control of her destiny, or as a star consumed by the chaos she created? Do you believe her legacy will be her music, her scandals, or the way she forced culture to confront its obsession with image? Share your thoughts below, because every perspective shapes the legacy we remember.
Some stories linger, not because of the perfection they portray, but because of the fractures they expose. Miley Cyrus walked through fire in full view of the world, and in doing so, she left behind more than controversy. She revealed the cost of growing up under a spotlight that demands innocence long after it has expired. For every shocking headline, there was also a reminder that behind the spectacle stood a girl searching for her own voice. Her legacy is not a single performance, a marriage, or even a scandal replayed endlessly on television screens. It is the transformation of an artist who refused to be trapped by nostalgia. She dared to dismantle the mask of Hannah Montana, and though the world recoiled, it could never again deny her authenticity. That choice altered not only her career, but also the way an entire generation understood the collision between celebrity and selfhood. Some secrets were never meant to be known, but now you know. And in knowing, you see Miley Cyrus not as a scandal or a symbol, but as a reminder of what it costs to be real in a culture built on illusion. If you found this story compelling, remember to like and subscribe so you never miss the truths hidden beneath the fame.